My parents were very keen that I'd actually be a performer. I myself didn't know if I could be one. Today, I want to sit and curate something, I should be able to know how to do it scientifically, right? I was always wavering between this, and put anything that comes to my hand on my face. But now I cannot do without this cleanser, or without this cleansing powder, or without this oil. Like literally, I would wake up in the middle of the night and put a diary next to me and think about the mixes and concoctions and what would work with what. And it just became like, when did I become this formulator suddenly and a scientist, right? Just that was anyway going, and we had over 2 lakh customers test, try, and give a thumbs up to our products before we went into the market.
So, welcome to another episode of Voice It with Karishma Shah. Today, we have a guest who is usually the household name in the Telugu industry. She is Smita Vallurupalli. And, firstly, thank you so much, Smita, for taking out time and doing this today. I'm really looking forward to have a conversation with you because you've played so many roles in the recent years and you have this phenomenal brand now, which we will be talking about very soon. So, firstly, thank you for doing this, and I'm very happy that you're here today.
Thank you so much, Karishma. My pleasure. I've been looking forward to this as well.
So, Smita, tell me, just to like kind of dive into it completely, right? You've been a singer, you've been a pop star, you've also been the, founder of, salons. And, now you have this beautiful organic brand, which is, doing so well. It's called Old School. And, the Instagram page is also known as Old School Rituals. So please tell me the journey, your personal journey is something that I would like to know. And then we'll come on to the, the brand.
Sure. Thanks for asking, Karishma. To begin with, I'll say I was born and raised in a family of entrepreneurs. So business has been something that I naturally saw growing up. And I think it would have, no matter what I was doing, be it a performing field or art or whatever, I would have definitely also done some kind of a business on while in parallel, right? But music, I think, happened very young, and it was, I would say, it was a nice accident, if I can say, that I happened to go on a television show when I was 16, and ended up, I went completely as an amateur, didn't know what I was getting into. I would have just taken the mic. Not knowing and doing things is much easier than actually knowing everything. You end up thinking so much, right? When you know everything, you're conscious of what this is, that is. So at a very young age, I got onto television, ended up winning many episodes and coming all the way and winning our series finals and all of that. And I think it was just too much. That just happened all at once in about 6 months, around less than 6 months. And from there, my parents were always very, very keen on me doing. So my mom's a very good singer as well, but never pursued music as a career, because I think back then there was no direct route to how you can really do this, right? So I think she saw her dream in me, is what she always says, and I'm grateful for the efforts that they put in as well, to see me do something that's so fulfilling. The creative work is always very satisfying, and so from could have just gone and maybe tried to do playbacks or stuff like that, but my parents were very keen that I'd actually be a performer. I myself didn't know if I could be one, I didn't know if I had that in me. I don't think they also knew what it was. Said, let's try and do this. And that's how the music journey started. I sang many playback songs as well in the journey, but through the phase that I was doing my private music and music videos and all of that. But yes, that was happening. But even the business side of it, I would say, as I was growing up, most of the kids would be going to school and college. I was literally going, like, right after school, I'd be going to one of our stores or showrooms or workshops or somewhere to understand how things work, what happens. I think because it was curiosity and interest also. So yeah, I think both both of these things were going uh, in a parallel track. And in uh, 2003, we started Bubbles, which is a chain of salons. Back then, there was nothing much actually. This industry was very, very uh, going to a salon was kind of a luxury at that point, and having a luxury salon was like people thought that on Jubilee Hills Road when they saw the boards. Apparently, they were telling me later that they thought it must be crazy to invest money into something like this, but later realized that 2 years from the time we started, in a 2 kilometer radius, there were 50 salons. Until then, there was nothing. So the
Wow.
industry also, I would say, as much as it was, I think it was the timing. It was maybe done well. Knowingly, unknowingly, I ended up taking this up and doing it right, I would say, rather, you know.
Yes, very
So,
important. Yes.
and I think that helped because the industry also was going through that phase of uh, maybe growing, that it just boomed, the whole beauty hair, that
Yeah.
industry from 2003 to today. You can look at it like this: maybe 2000, pre 2005 and post, you will not be able to believe the kind of a change that has come, especially in the beauty hair, the entire industry. And now with social media, you see so many bloggers, beauty editors, influencers, so much going on, right? So I think it was right time, right place. Obviously, luck plays a role too, right? When you're doing all these things. So I wouldn't take it away from that. Yes, so that was the first serious scalable business that I started. We initiated that when I was 21, 22. Uh, and
Wow.
then, yeah,
That is
and
very
then went
young.
on to, yeah. No, I feel actually lucky that I could do everything very young, because now I feel so much in control of, or
True.
more than in control, maybe the wrong word, so much in, uh, I mean, you kind of know. You've done
I
that for
think
so many
I think
years,
the physical growth and then
accept
it
it.
kind of puts you in a
Yes.
position where you're a little bit more peaceful now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So it really uh, makes a lot of difference to have that comfort and peace when you're working. And there's so much more balance, I would say, because it started so young. And old school for me, from there to old school, just to tell you that even from 2005 6, I would ask, I took my dad and traveled to Singapore for a world fair, like a beauty and hair and beauty uh, expo, or all of this, where there were a lot of products and people coming from different parts of the world. So I wanted to go see, because I always felt like we should have our own brand. And I was very curious about what goes into every bottle,
Yeah.
right? A lot of us didn't even know what was part of a cream.
Yeah.
Until you know how it is made, it feels like rocket science
True. True.
to us.
True.
And once that started happening, I went, I kind of spoke to a lot of people, went through the whole expo, spent 3 days there, 4 days there. And I was thinking, do we bring this to India? Maybe do that. Like, so many things were going on in my head. Finally, by the end of it, I felt like somewhere there was no connection for me with any one thing that I'd say, okay, let's take this to India, or let's do this. And from there, building a brand was something that was always in the cards, I think, subconsciously.
Mm.
Subconsciously, but I didn't know how to do it then. Um, Slowly, one by one, started falling into place when we ended up sitting and curating a bunch of products with oils and stuff for my daughter's fourth birthday. And I said, let's do it at home. So did some work, sat together, read up, built 2 or 3 products, packed them, and gave them as return gifts in her birthday box. So I had
Wow.
almost everyone call back saying that this is so amazing. Where can we get them? How do we buy them? So that gave me the confidence and said, okay, this is the right direction that I've taken. And that's when I started looking for thinking of names for the brand and what exactly are we, right? I thought of so many names and then said something very old school. I said, why not old school?
Yeah.
So it was, the name had to be very old school. I said, why not old school? That's how it just ended up being that. And when we started, I said, let's call it Grandma Skin Rituals. And then eventually to expand the whole scope, we said we'll call it Heirloom Beauty. Because it's
Yeah.
not just, see, the emotion of a grandmother could be relatable to a lot of people maybe in India, but once you're, it may not be the same everywhere. So he said it's heirloom beauty, which is like passed on for generations and from our ancestors and all of that. And as we started building it, products were going on, the R&D and all of the ingredients that had to go into each product. I would read up about what each product does. In the process, I also learned formulation because I wanted to have control of what I was doing as well and not be dependent on, something or the other to happen. I wanted to be like, today I want to sit and curate something, I should be able to know how to do it scientifically, right? So I started learning the process of formulation and understanding what goes into what percentages that are currently in the market and to what percentage we should take the active ingredients up. So all of this work was going on, but parallelly, I was working on the whole look feel. You won't believe this. There was three different logos from the day we started till what you see in the market today. It's the third version. So
Wow.
I was so clear that unless I have my logo the way it has to be, I do not want to change. I don't want to go into the market because I don't
Yeah.
want to go in and change anything. Right. So I wanted to have everything right. So it was not just about having the product right. It was about having the logo right, the communication right, the emotion right, the branding right, the visual right, and the packaging. So because I knew that the product had so much uh, to offer, and if you're and the reason, one of the other major reasons that I took this up and with so much passion built it is because personally I couldn't stick to one product or one brand in my life. I'm not like a very big skincare. It's not like I go and buy 10 things and use 10 things. I may buy, I don't use anything much.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this doesn't work. I mean, if I'm not addicted to something, it means that there is a space in the market. There are many people probably like me. So fortunately, I have people today coming to me and saying, I was always wavering between this, and put anything that comes to my hand on my face. But now I cannot do without this cleanser or without this cleansing powder or without this oil or without this salt, which makes me feel so good because the purpose of creating the brand was that.
Yes. Yes. Fantastic, Smita. I think the entire journey of what you just said right now, it's very evident. I think visually, for a consumer, for anybody who's also looking at the products, who's looking at the packaging, who's looking at the way that the entire branding has been done, I think it's phenomenal.
Thank
The journey that you mentioned, that from the start, all that creative energy that you have been, just pursuing. I think there's this beautiful infusion that you have done with business now, and also, the creation of a brand. And we all know that, creating a brand, executing it, and then managing it is no joke. It's big shoes to, wear. But I think, um, how much ever I have seen, and also speaking to you personally, I have realized that that energy has been infused, and it's been done in such a way where it's almost flawless now. Like,
you.
it's so beautiful. You have caught tradition and culture in such a nice way in a bottle, or even in your entire presentation. I know that you do this, and I would like to ask you about that also. I know that you've spoken about the apsaras, and you have, packaged it and also kind of represented it in a very in a very creative manner. So I would like you to also express about what the concept about the apsaras was. But before that, I feel like the ingredients of the products are just so Indian yet so beautiful. Like from the tamarind concoction in one of the creams to the different oils that are there in your in your signature hair oil. All the ingredients are also, they are not just local traditional, they're also very exotic. So I think not just like buying into a brand for a product, but I think buy anybody who buys the product is also buying into that kind of a heritage, that kind of you know um, vibe. It's a complete aura that you are giving out with the brand. And I think the whole concept of old school, because I constantly keep saying this, so many people say this, oh, I'm very old school, oh, I'm very old school. Like I don't follow the usual modern patterns of things. And then you chose the name, and it's just, I think it's apt. It's Everything is just phenomenal. So congratulations on that to you, Smita.
Thank you
not
so much, Karishma.
not an
You,
easy do, but you just nailed it.
thank you. Thank you so much. In fact, you're speaking about it with as much passion as I would talk about the brand, which is so interesting and so makes me so happy that, we're able to connect with people the way you are feeling, right? Yeah.
That's the power of branding, and you've
Yeah,
nailed it.
it is.
So please tell us about your, the entire journey with the concept of the apsaras also. And you've done this meticulous. It's a story. It's this thing it's like art trying to come out in a product form, with your products. Please tell me the entire journey, because I'm sure it's taken you a lot of time and effort to do this.
Forever. 1.5 hour, 1.5 year it took for me to say okay to the Apsaras. So I'll tell you what happened. In fact, it took so long. It took about 6 months to say okay to the uh, logo or to
Okay.
build the whole thing. And then it took about, yeah. And then it took about 1 year after that for Apsaras. So there was when our team that we were working with started working on the logo and everything, they came with two concepts. The first concept, they spent 3 hours talking about it. I almost was sold on that because I like intricacies and detail. I also see one thing when you see old school, if you ask me what is old school in terms of visual communication, I would say we are not minimalistic for sure.
Yes.
Right? There's all this about being minimal, this, that. I'm like, I'm done with minimal. It's just so boring to me. And we have so much to tell. There is no way old school can be a minimalistic brand because there is just way too much detail in old school and the visual communication. And we sat down together and wrote down what are the 10, 15, 20 words that would be, that's the first word that will come to you when you say old school. Right, I'm going to read it out to you. I've opened my phone because that topic came up and you're so passionately asking about where it started and the design story. So I'm going to take you through it a little bit. So I'm looking at the a few things that we came up with. The philosophy. Yes. So brand philosophy, we thought about what is old school? Memories, love, grandmoms, soul, creating, healthy, natural, naturally derived preservatives, fresh, beautiful, graceful in appearance, presentation, bridging gap in generations, love, joy, and passion. Right? These were the terms that came to us when you're, and storytelling.
Yes.
Clearly that, and storytelling. Then I said, my entire childhood was stories.
Yeah.
Right? Our grandmothers or mothers or whoever, aunts, grand aunts would sit around telling us stories about in their village, this person did that, and that grandfather did this, or and then you always talk about a Pedarasi Peddamma in our culture. Okay, that is, I don't even know who she is, but she's they show the moon and say there is Pedarasi Peddamma and they feed kids food, right?
Oh,
Talking about her stories, right? That imaginary fictitious character called this Pedarasi Peddamma. So how can old school not have storytelling, right? All of these plus storytelling at the top of it. And then we were like, our core would be, maybe I'll go to that when you ask about that, but let me tell you about the stories. So then the second concept, they had not much time, so quickly briefed us and said, sleep over it. I just could not sleep. I said, I need to, I need to make this decision. And then thought about what would give us the freedom to do so much of design work. Because I'm someone who's got these attention to, like, I can be really painful when it comes to design. And I can really be sitting and find the smallest of tone correction to a line correction to a jewelry piece stone correction, on the Apsara or anything. So we chose the second route because we could play around with characters. And slowly I said, these characters are turning out to be so one artist came up with a few of the Apsara postures, and when they were colored, they just didn't work for me. So I sat down with an artist who I've been working with, and we literally sat down at my long dining table, which had a huge big painting in front of it, it's a Tanjore painting. And I love the colors on it. It's about a 15 feet by 7 foot painting. So we
Wow.
sat around that, and imagine the number of colors that would be on that Tanjore painting, right? And traditional, beautiful colors and stuff. So I said, this color from this painting, from this character into this, and a blouse of that in combination, and then pick jewelry from my wardrobe, pictures, gave that much detailing into it, and actually brought all the eight Apsaras to life. I cannot forget the day that we got these eight Apsaras to life. They were just part of a design at that point. Then the Apsaras, we said we have to give them names because they're our brand mascots. So then
Yes.
they ended up becoming. So a friend of mine who's an actor was sitting and watching all of these things. He said, let's name them. So he named almost most of the Apsaras, and maybe I added one or two to the list. But oh my God, it was such a wonderful. It was like every day we touch a new milestone. We're like, yes, we cracked this. Right?
Wow.
Starting from product, it was a 7 year journey, Karishma, believe it or not. 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So it really was. And luckily, what gave me that freedom to do all of this creative, spend so much time on it was we had Bubbles, which was about 12, 13 luxury, large scale salons. We created facial, pedicure, body polish kits for the
Yeah.
customers that would come for services.
Yeah.
So pretty much most of the customers were getting old school facials, pedicures, body polishes done there. So that was anyway going, and we had over 2 lakh customers test, try, and give a thumbs up to our products before we went into the market,
Fantastic. That
which
is
is
that
pretty much impossible for a new brand to have, right?
is
So,
it is. It
so
really is.
So I think that sets us, at a much more confident, in a confident space. If you had to compare it to any new brand that would just get launched in the market, is because we already have validation from over 2 lakh customers and so many skin types, like
Yeah.
to a point where we've probably uh, formulated over 75 to 80 unique SKUs for the services that we use at Bubbles. And it's just been at Bubbles. And then now we've done like a new look, new storytelling, new boxes, new packaging, added a lot of steps to each of these, made it more luxury. Like the luxury element went up couple of
Yeah.
notches. So
Yes.
I think it was, and once the Apsaras got their names like Rukmini, Radha, Leela, Maya, Sarasa. Um so we have a new Apsara coming in for December. Her
Okay.
name is her name is Rosie. She's our
Oh,
Christian Apsara, and she's bringing concoctions of the best products
wow.
in form of serums, in form of BB sunscreen, and one powdered face wash for acne prone skin with Indian spices. So I think the amount of things that we could do with the Apsaras was just amazing once the whole process started,
I
right?
can see
So,
I can actually see that because I feel like there is this element of, I think what you infused with it also is this playfulness. When we were small, I think also a brand like, maybe a brand like Barbie, the doll itself was not what the feature is. The feature was the playfulness with it and the kind of uniqueness that the product got in for each person inside. And I think you've kind of captured the essence of the same thing with your brand, not just the Apsaras, but I feel like this whole concept of also having the audience to try it out, get the feedback, and then work so hard. You already have the customer base, you already have your premium clientele going on. There was no need to actually kind of do so much work on this. Also, you would have launched the products, they would have been selling any which ways. But I feel like so much of self investment and the passion just clearly shows, where you've gone ahead and you've done this with each and every product. The entire look, the feel, what you just explained to me with the conceptualizing of the Apsaras was completely bonkers. I feel like, wow, to be able to be that detail oriented is something which really takes a lot from the entrepreneur. So I know that the creative process really is exciting, and I know that you've done so much of not just hard work, but I feel like there's also so much of yourself that you've put into this.
yeah,
But
completely. My heart, soul, everything. Like I would say, like literally, I would wake up in the middle of the night and put a diary next to me and think about the mixes and concoctions and what would work with what. And it just became like, when did I become this formulator suddenly and a scientist, right? It just became a new profession for me, a new direction. And every challenge came as a blessing.
yes,
When there is a challenge, you're generally demoralized. You're like, oh my God, you've done so much and this is what happens now, or someone's done something, or all of this, right? But to me, I think the biggest strength in the journey was every challenge became like the um, most exciting learning for me. And I think that gives the confidence of, whoever tells me there's so many brands in the market, what do you think that sets apart? And why would you think that you have a space in the market despite there being hazard things in the market? I'm like, I always knew if I or so many people like me couldn't go and stick to one face wash or one moisturizer or one scrub or one something, they haven't found the right thing for themselves. And old school is exactly for those people. And whoever has or hasn't, forget that. Whoever gets their hands on the product, touches them, uses them, I can guarantee you that they will be our customers for life for something or the other. That's the confidence that the journey of building it from zero to where it is today gives us.
yes, no, it is true. Which is why I said that I'm sure as a female entrepreneur and also coming back from I know the family is business, but then when you venture into doing something, this is completely new for you. Even salons was new for you. Even the whole beauty product brand initiation
Yeah.
was a very new thing for you. So we can have entrepreneurial genes, but then the application and the growth of it is completely dependent on us. So I'm sure that the entire journey would have been very, very, very challenging for you. Would you like to tell us
Very
something?
challenging.
Would you like to tell us what are some of the most defining moments for you when you kind of got above a challenge that was just very difficult for you?
So for sure, I wouldn't say they were I mean, they were great lessons. So I could always be on top of everything and learn everything. It is learnings, I would say, rather than, because all of these challenges only helped me eventually. So I think that was a blessing. If I didn't have them, I would have had to suffer a problem at a much later stage, which would be more risky than I would early in the
Yes.
business. Right. So I think one thing even today that I still feel, though it's very different from being an entrepreneur at certain things. And so you could be a franchise owner, a distributor, a service provider, any of these things, right? All of those industries are very different from creating a brand in the luxury space and being able to communicate. I mean, it's like you're jumping into an ocean, an unknown ocean, not even knowing if your swimming will be enough to survive that ocean, right? Your technique of knowing how to swim is,
Absolutely.
or that you've learned, whether that's even enough for you to survive this whole thing. But my attitude was just to jump in. Like, I have a very strong intuition or a gut feeling. When something tells me that this is right, I know it is right, and I will just jump into it no matter what, and will learn in the journey, and I'll find a way out of any problem. So there was, coming to details in points, there were a lot of, like, I wouldn't say a lot of people, but couple of people that I actually invested time, energy into, because I it's not something like I would be able to sit and cook these things every day, right? So I'll have to look at a lot of other things in order for me to put the whole thing out there and make it grow. And because I truly believe in it. One more thing for sure, Karishma, is that if I did not believe in this being right, and did not believe that this really will be a game changer, and it also has that space, scope, and it's clean, and I'm super conscious about it, that's when I ended up getting in and starting to learn everything. And once we learn everything, right, you have so much control of everything that you're able to, there's no need for one person or the other to be there or take care of the process, right? It's, and it all falls into place once the scale grows once. And I was very clear that we had to do it, our, we have our own manufacturing in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
And I said the only way we can sell old school is if we manufacture ourselves, because I don't believe that some outsource manufacturer would do it with as much detail as we would do it, and as
Yes.
much care as we would do it. I know that it's extremely difficult for anyone to uh, handle the number of steps or processes that we do at old school. In fact, a lot of friends that are big into skincare, clean beauty, they were telling me that, because it's at this scale now, you're able to give us this product, but once the scale is higher, will you be able to retain the same processes? I said, if we don't retain the same process, I will not be part of old school anymore. It won't be my baby anymore. So that's how particular I was about, uh, each product, each ingredient, the way it is blended, the way it is extracted, to the way it is cooked, kept aside, used. So it is an elaborate process. No product just comes with, so many people that come to, as plant managers would like to come and, interview and stuff. And they come and say, this kind of process we've really not seen anywhere. Because my formulator also, who works with us, says, I told him the day he joined us, I said, can you please unlearn everything and come with a fresh mind? Because
Yeah.
we are not going to, we're not going to, I need your science background. I need all your other stuff, but unlearn what you've done with everything else or the previous brands, because we're not going to use the same process. We are going to go as raw, as real as possible. So, to a point where some of the fruits, some of the crops, some herbs, we cultivate in the backyard of our factory, and we use as well in the products. And each product has so many concoctions, so many mixes, and the way we extract them is so elaborate.
Yeah.
Uh, our active ingredients, in fact, when he first joined us, he said, the process that you're doing, I'll make it much simpler, and I'll this is available, that is available. So I said, I didn't want to say no, because you should have a satisfaction of doing it this way, that way, and then figuring out what the best is, right? So I knew, but I wanted him also and the team also to understand that there is a reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. So they bring extracts. They'll make the same product that we were making before, and come and show me. I'm like, this is not what we are doing. This is not a scrub. This is not a mask. This is not a face wash. That's why I said unlearn everything and come
Yeah.
into this with a fresh mind. And now I don't think any of them can go back to doing what they were doing, because this just feels so real, so pure, and so clean.
Yeah.
And the effect of each of the product also, even with a face wash, you see so much happening to the skin. It
Yeah.
just feels like you're really a mini cleanup happened to your face. right?
Wow. Wow. No, I mean, it's sometimes there are these big brands that come in and they talk about things, and it would take somebody a little bit of time to kind of figure out, yes, this is what the result is. But I think what I have realized with, your brand, the visuals that I have seen, the entire process, behind the scene process that I have seen, right, so far, I feel like all this that you just said right now, it shows. It's
Thank
that
you.
crystal clear. It literally is that crystal clear, because you see this, there is this little bit of like a very there is a little mystery with the brand as well. You have created that kind of a brand which has that little bit of like an Indian mystery going on, which is fantastic, I feel, right? And you've you've put yourself into the brand. So now moving forward, what is what's the vision like for the next few years and everything? Because now you've done this, you've put in so much effort with the brand, right? And it's phenomenal, it's looking great, the responses are, the feedback is fantastic for you as well, right?
Yeah.
So from the business perspective and also from your own creative process, what's the next step?
So I think we have a plan definitely in place. We'd like to expand into very few select um, spas or salons, like the way that we did for Bubbles, like very
Yeah,
few, maybe one or two more in South, maybe one or two more in North, where they have value for these kind of things and not just like a functional situation. That's one side of it, because the service kits are not available online. We don't sell service kits. It's only
yeah,
for you to experience it. That's one part of it, which is on the side, but majorly, so we've been onboarded onto Nika as well, and a few platforms that are very, I mean,
that is fantastic.
very happy to receive feedback from people that deal with hundreds, thousands of brands as well, right? For them, I'm sure they're receiving one or two or three new things every single day to
Yeah,
review. And for
yeah,
us to like with within such a short time or almost no time being onboarded, one of the fastest onboarding. So I think that was a very it felt really good. It was a great validation, I would say for sure. And there've been a lot of people reaching out to us and asking if they can do something with the brand. So that's, see, all of these things are just adding, validating what we've done and all the work that went into the brand. Um, there's big things happening. I don't know if I should announce them before we even, talk
no,
about it. I mean, but yes, there is a lot of great opportunities coming through for
yes,
sure. So the my most something that I'm really, really looking forward to is our old school experience ritual spas centers.
yeah,
So we're doing these experience centers. Uh, the first one will be in Hyderabad. In Jubilee Hills, we've taken up, I mean, it's our space that we're converting it into ritual space, like old school ritual space. Like you walk into that space feeling just in the middle of the city, you walk into the space feeling calm
then
and great, right? Zen, fully.
yes,
And that's all we want to do. I want anyone who's having a bad day or having too much to do or stress, just walk in there. Whether you do something or you don't do something, it's a separate story. But just walk in there. That's what we want all of everyone to feel like once they step into that space. That's how it's coming out. January will be when we are going to launch the first flagship store, which will have a lot of the facility will have services from with all our products, which are facials to pedicures to body polishes to hair rituals to baby rituals, which is like the traditional nalugu that our great grandmothers would do, like oiling the body, massaging it for muscles, elasticity, giving, and then putting that uptan and scrubbing the body of all the, as soon as the kids are born. Now, nobody really. I remember being like kids being put on the legs. I did that with my daughter because when she was like days old, I would stretch my legs, put her upside down on my legs, and would scrub her. I don't know how many moms really do it, or any grandmoms even currently know about, how going about all of this, right? So to take that off, but not cut off. See, it shouldn't go away with our grandmothers or great grandmothers. We should have this culture and tradition going because they did it for a reason. There's a scientific reason why all of this was done to young mothers or the babies, newborn babies or toddlers. So all of
Yes,
those services we are curating for babies. And
yes.
we have our retail store with a possibility of curating, customizing your own product there. Like you come in, we give you like an entire skin wheel. You select the kind of skin type you have, and we will put it onto what are the right ingredients for your skin type, and then you can mix match with all the extracts or ingredients that we have on our island. We have a long island in the middle of our store where you
Wow.
can actually customize your own product. We'll label it with your name and give it to you. So that's something that we're doing there.
That is fantastic. Sounds so good. In fact, one of the things that I remember saying when I got to know about the brand is that why why is it not so accessible to everybody so easily yet? Like, why are not more people knowing about this, right? Because I feel like it has that kind of potential. So I think with these opportunities that you're talking about, right, with the
Yeah.
experientials and also with having to customize their own product, and plus now that you're going to be entering this beautiful whole retail market, I think more and more and more people should get an experience of the product, because you're very right. I feel like once you try it, you can kind of, it becomes a staple for you because you know that you can trust this product and it's giving you the results that is giving you.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Right?
that's
Channels are-
absolutely. I'm actually so glad to have this conversation with you because I feel like you experienced and you understand the brand so much, and it's easier to talk to people and actually talk more about the brand because to start off with, you have the whole base there, right? Yeah, and I think yes, that experience center, and there's one other thing that we're adding to this space is a little healing, where they're coming up with these healing oils, which are
Wow.
great for people with maybe it could be physical healing of be it muscle or even mental healing of. Uh, we're trying to come up with these concoctions and little energy infused oils that will help healing. Could be emotional situations, could be physical situations. So all of this is in progress. I've been
Wow.
wanting to do this for a very, very long time, and
What
it
I
just
like
so
about you most, what I like about you most, Smita, is that I have realized, that I think you're all like, I think you like it. Also, I don't think it's an effort for you, but I feel like you're on top of your game. Like you know what to do at what time and what is feasibly going to work, because you clearly mentioned the entire journey, and I'm kind of like realizing now that you mentioned this thing, right time, right place, is because you knew right time, right place पे क्या चलेगा, and you know what is going to happen, what is not going to happen. So I feel like it's fantastic. You're on top of your game, and I think it's great. Yes, yes,
Thank you. So I think because that's very, very important too, right? Like you should be able to, and it brings a lot of peace and calm, the whole process. And I have the best part is I have. I don't know if you've tried our salts, the energy cleansing, aura cleansing, energizing salts that we have for babies and all of us as well. So those salts, I have people calling me and just saying that we don't our bath is not complete without a last mug of that salt water, and that itself just makes me feel so good because I think uh, end of the day, and for everyone that believes in energies and
yes.
cleansing, and I think it's very, very, very important for people that don't understand it. We may sound like Greek and Latin, but at some point everyone will end up understanding this, I guess. Right? The
I think just
energies.
to add to what you said right now, right? The whole concept of salt. So for the people who don't really know this, but salt has a very cleansing property from an Ayurvedic perspective, also from a spiritual perspective. Salt, whenever it is used, usually it can ward off negative energy. When it is used in our baths, especially on full moon and new moon nights, it actually cleanses our entire body, mind, also keeps us calm, and it actually gives us emotional support. So the same way that when you consume salt, that sodium energizes and balances out the liquids in your body. same way, when you have a bath with the salts or when you use it topically on your body, there is also a calming and healing property about it. So I think this whole concept of also introducing the salts in your products is fantastic.
Thank you. And it is not. I know salt is the base ingredient. It's the powerful ingredient which holds all the has the capable capacity to do all the cleanse and stuff. But the number of things that went into the salt, in fact,
Yes.
to a point where we have one area in the factory, which is
Yeah.
one room in the factory which is energized.
Yeah.
Nobody just randomly walks into that place, but all the products that are sent into the market are kept there overnight and only then sent out, because that's an energy room. That's a
Wow.
space that is really energized. And bath salts have so many ingredients and blends of certain oils that are specifically meant to cleanse and
Yes.
to energize. So I
Yes.
think it was not just about packing a salt, it was about adding all of that research, thought. And it's not me alone working on this. I worked with healers, I worked with people that work on energy and cleanses and spiritual stuff. And slowly, it's very interesting how the industry is responding, not just the beauty industry, but people from industries that can very easily collaborate with beauty,
Yes.
right? Like wellness, health, mental health, um, nutrition. It could be lifestyle,
Yes.
everything to do with lifestyle. Old school is just bringing kind of people together, I feel, to build a community. And I think we always said, we want to build this community of old school. It is not a skincare brand. And eventually we want to be a lifestyle brand where we have a lot of things coming out of old school. I I've been working on so many things to do with old school jewelry. Right. So
Wow. That is
yeah.
awesome.
So
First buyer is in line.
ah, super. I'm not going to forget this. The first time there's enough stuff ready, I'll be like, Karishma, do you remember on the call you said you're the first one? So yeah, so we have plans. We have really, really interesting, good plans to do a lot of the things that are old school and will remind you of old school. And because my entire collection, there's nothing that I normally, very rarely that I just pick up something and buy it and wear it. It's always like putting together different things or getting something sketched and designed and made and put different pieces together to make it look like the way it is most
Yes.
of the time. So it comes very naturally to me, which is why I like it was very easy. That extension of old school becoming jewelry was very,
Yeah.
it can be heirloom jewelry, it can be
I'm very excited about this.
handloom, handlooms and clothings, accessories, the kind of kitchen and home things that you'd see, which were very old school. So it will extend into many other verticals. And yes, that's the exciting part. But for now, I want to focus the next 2 years uh, exclusively and bring in small little things in the middle for experience of old school in other aspects as well. And we are doing a lot of collaborations with artists, with creators, crafts people. So even our spatula, if you've seen on in the box, is made by craftsmen from this village called Etkopaka. Etkopaka is like the Kondapalli toys, the Varahapatnam toys. Etkopaka is another village that uses the craftsmen. That entire village is known for their toys. They make
Wow.
and their pigments. So we've used. So there's this uncle who's like a national award winner in I think a Padma Shri, or yeah, in making organic colors even for
Wow.
these toys. There are these pigments that come from naturally, like organic, like barks, trees. There are also pigments that are very like chemical based, right? That's just color. So this particular gentleman actually won many awards in being the only man who's kind of brought all these natural colors into the toy making. So we worked with him and his craftsmen to come up with these spatulas, and I actually sat. In fact, I really feel like I just wish I documented all of this. I did
Yes.
this at a very organic. organically it just grew. But I wish I documented it. I'd like to eventually go there and document what all was done. But all of these spatulas that are in each of these gift boxes are from that village in Etkopaka, made by those craftsmen. So it's the everything was very detailed. That's all I can say.
I think it is the next. I have never met. I have never. This is the first time that I'm meeting an entrepreneur and also a brand owner who has actually invested so much of time, energy, effort into the tiniest and the minutest details. And it goes to show the dedication behind the entire, work profile or even brand profile that you have created today. And I feel like you spoke about, all the actions. You spoke about the whole conscious effort. When a product is not just a product. I think if you infuse life into it, it becomes a conscious product. Today a lot of
Yeah,
people are talking about consciousness and a lot of people are talking about sustainability. I feel like from the conceptualization of using the things that you're giving along with your products, like the way that you just mentioned the spatula, and also from the you spoke about the concoction making of it, the creation process, long term utilization, and also how you want to create an experience out of it. I feel like it's a very conscious effort on making the brand sustainable as well, because I feel like it holds a lot of value for you also, and it's the future.
personally, yes.
All brands these days are striving to be as sustainable as possible. Was this consciously done with by you, or did it just happen because you are a person like that?
It's a very natural extension. So if you came home, or if you came to any place that I would have put some thought into, or my hand into, you'll see old school is an extension of all of those things. I don't think there's any other way that old school could have been. It's not a conscious effort. Wherever we could, I mean, it is a conscious effort. I wouldn't say it's not, but it is also a very naturally flowing thing. It's not effort. If I had to put something very, if I had to do anything that it is not, see, there are some areas where you have to use plastic. Plastic is a very, very important part of packaging. You cannot like just go with glass for a 200, 300 ml jar, because it becomes very heavy. It becomes, you could break it, many things. You can't travel with them. You can't, not easy to transport. See, plastic is by itself is not bad, but the way we dispose it is bad. How we dispose it is bad. So I think wherever it is important, uh, that we, I'm not pushing everything to a level that it becomes very uncomfortable, but consciously making an effort to make sure every detail is taken care of before deciding on the material that is used. So it's a balance of both, I would say. I'm not getting pain. It's not painful, but it's a very
Yeah.
consciously free flowing uh, mindset that we're working with.
Yes. Wow. Thank you for that, Smita. And before I let you go, thank you for this very long and very informative, also very, very, passionate conversation that you have had with me today. I'm absolutely in awe of the processes that you have followed for yourself, along with, the extension of yourself in the brand. Is there any, you've been such a successful singer, pop star, successful brand of, you've seen so many successes, right? And I'm sure behind every success, there is a lot and lot and lot of hard work. Any message for young budding entrepreneurs, creative artists, or anybody in the space, in the wellness health space, who's listening to something like this? Any message that you would like to give from your experience so far?
Firstly, I would say believe believe in yourself and in what you want to do. And I mean, this is, don't want to be preachy, but I'd like to say, coming from, speaking from my experience, as important as numbers and all of that could be, as you're building, as you're going into the market, I'd say don't forget the where you started and what your end, when you start, right, you always also have to figure out why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's very important. And trust your gut. Like, there is a gut feel that, and go by it. Trust yourself and put in everything into it. I mean, when you manifest, uh, when you manifest positively and strongly towards a goal, there may be so many hurdles, but the destination is not impossible. We will all reach there.
Yes.
So, giving up is something that I would be like the first one to say, like, that's not the way to end anything, right? Once you're jumping in, get clarity and jump in and figure a way out and manifest only positively. Don't be doubtful about the journey, because hardships are definitely going to be there for anybody that's taking up a challenging journey. It's every day is not going to be a cakewalk and rosy.
Yes.
Even for me, after so many years of experience in business, I end up having challenges thrown at me suddenly. But I don't really, I see them as opportunities.
Yeah.
So I think that's been my personal learning, which I'd like to share. But please don't give up and stay positive.
Yeah.
Remove the self doubt.
Yes. Yes, that's also one of the things that I kind of noticed with the entire conversation. You're very, Smita, one of the reasons why you're also probably, you've seen so much success is because you internally are that kind of a positive person. I feel you're optimistic from inside. Every single thing that you spoke about, um, you know, there was this whole there was this whole radiance of this whole positive energy just from within. So when you are a person like that, and you've kind of you're not born like that. You've had to manifest, you've had to work into it,
Yeah.
you've had to repeatedly convert. I call it the energy conversion, right? So there are energy takers, there are energy givers, and then there are energy converters, right? So when you are a person who is an energy converter, constantly having to convert negative energy into positive energy for yourself also takes a lot. I've been there, done that, so I know what it takes. But I feel like that is it's a sign, and it's a radiance that you have. And this entire message that you said is very true, because if you stay positive, you'll be able to you'll be able to take one challenge after the other. It's like one day at a time. You'll also be able to look at the problems from a more objective perspective. So thank you so much for this really
Thanks,
beautiful
Karishma.
brand, also on your personal journey. I'm completely inspired today. I feel like I wish and hope that I can do as much work and as much put in as much passion as I can more into the work.